Hey there YouTube, welcome back to another video. Today we're going for again something completely different. These I decided to completely open the book and just go through all the stuff that I've painted in between my sort of roughly a year and a half time of not actually producing any videos. So we're talking, mass diversity here. I have actually got some bot action that will eventually come up. I've got practically completed my British Army, so I'll probably do a Grand Army update on those guys. And I've also started my Finns, so although I haven't done a particularly massive amount of them so far, I'll kind of show you what I've got done of those guys. And also I've got all my Halo ships that I painted. I know Spartan Games has since gone out of business, which is a little bit of a shame. But I've actually played the Halo game solo on my own 6, 7, maybe even 8 times, and I thoroughly enjoyed it every time I played it. So I actually quite like that game, and it's a bit of a shame that it's going to be difficult to try and get the ships for it now, especially assuming they released sort of like their last sort of wave had some quite interesting looking ships in it, and I wouldn't have minded picking up a few of them. But that's a different topic. Today we're going to go delving into my zombie collection. I've always kind of had an interest in zombies. I'm a big zombie horror film fan, and also, of course, I'm a big fan of the comic series of Walking Dead. So when I think Warlord released their zombie game with the old Wargames Factory zombie figures in, I picked that set up, and of course, although I wasn't particularly interested in it when they first released the Kickstarter, obviously the Walking Dead All Out War I ended up picking up in the end. But like I say, that I wasn't interested in the Kickstarter because I'd actually been part of the Dungeon Saga Kickstarter, and that didn't particularly go that smoothly. And I wasn't particularly impressed at all by that Kickstarter. So first of all, I'm going to show you the Wargames Factory plastic zombies that came in with the Warlord game, but I do actually use them for the Walking Dead. So we're going to start with this guy here. This Patient Zero, as I nickname him. It's basically a fat guy in a hospital gown, and he's still connected to his IV, which was perhaps supposed to try and stop the infection of when he first got attacked. As far as sort of bodily wounds, this guy has actually got a wound on his arm. I don't know how clearly you can see that. And he's also got some kind of wound on the back of his head, so I don't know exactly how which one he would have got first. But quite a cool zombie. All the same, I don't know how clear this is coming out because it's looking quite sort of dark on my view screen. Next up, we'll go for the Convict Zombie. This guy's kind of cool. He's got the arm of the person he was handcuffed to still handcuffed to his arm. He's got quite a lot of body damage. He's had his whole sort of torso torn away, going right into his innards, and he's also a little bit rotten too. So I've given him that sort of slightly darker skin tone to try and make it look like it's decomposing flesh. And of course, this guy's in a sort of a prison outfit. I think he came out quite cool. You can see I've based these guys really simple. A lot of them have literally just got a grey base, and some of them have got like some road lines on, but generally it's just grey, and that's because I tend to use, I've actually got 2 of these mats here. These mats are actually designed for a dead zone, and I've actually got 2 of them, which makes a 4x4 table. So I tend to use that for a lot of my Walking Dead games. Next up we'll go for the law zombie, the officer. I kind of designed him to be a little bit sort of to semi-resemble like Rick's character, with the sort of the sheriff's hat or the deputy's hat, and not perhaps the best figure in the world, because like he's only got like a generic holster, not like a police belt holster, but I think he's okay. He does the job, and he's got kind of a gravelly texture on his base. So that's him. Next up, we should go for. Now I'll start doing them in 2s because I mean, at the end of the day, they're just basically bog standard figures, aren't they? Really. So here we have another 2 sort of civilian zombies. These are pretty good figures. They're a little bit on the thin side, and some of them are quite fiddly to put together because their arms are quite thin. But I think overall they're pretty decent figures. And I do remember when I first got back into wargaming, I actually remember seeing that you could still get the old Wargames Factory boxes of these guys on eBay before, obviously several years before obviously Warlord brought them out. So that's a couple of civilians there. Let's go for a couple of female zombies next. So here we have a waitress zombie and a sort of an office worker zombie. And let's go for this one first. So this one obviously is just wearing a sort of blouse and skirt. I think she came out pretty cool. And again, apart from a tuft of grass, a pretty simple base. And the waitress zombie, who's actually missing an arm, and I don't know if that hand that she's holding is actually is the hand of her other arm. But she came out quite kind of cool too. A lot of personality in these particular zombie figures. Next up, let's go for a couple of guys this time. So we've got again a sort of a bog standard civilian zombie. This one's semi-fresh. I wouldn't say that he's totally fresh. And you can see that he's got he's going thin in the arms, where he's kind of starting to thin away. So that's that guy. And here we have a another sort of civilian. Again, sort of bog standard sort of civilian clothes. Are these supposed to be jeans? No, I don't think they're supposed to be jeans. I think they're just supposed to be sort of blue trousers. And you can see that he's got kind of a sort of a head wound there with a sort of scar. And I also believe that's where he must have got bitten. So that's him. Next up we go for another female. This is the cheerleader zombie. Here, she has lost both of her hands. Thought she came out quite cool, this one. And here we have quite a rotten beast of a zombie, quite rotten away, quite thin. Got a definitely got a decomposing face, and I've given him like the classic sort of dirty old vest, and his trousers are pretty filthy too. Okay, next up, the business zombie. So here we have a zombie in a suit, and I think this one came out pretty cool as well. Sometimes a figure that looks quite boring in plastic, when you actually finish painting them up, it really does bring them to life. And I kind of went for when I was putting blood on them and stuff, I kind of sort of looked at their wounds and tried to imagine how much blood would gush from that wound, so that I didn't just, you know, a lot of people make the mistake of just more or less just dipping their zombies in a pot of red paint, and sort of overdoing the blood. But I tried to like be really quite methodical on the amount of blood that I used, because obviously there's no point spending all that time painting the figure if you're just going to dip it in, more or less cover it in red paint. So here we have the shopper zombie holding some shopping bags, and this one is pretty fresh. She's obviously got like a bite wound on her arm there, and she's kind of, you know, it's kind of, you can see the blood's kind of run down her arm onto the bags, and maybe a little bit smashed down onto her leg, and she sort of smeared it with the shopping bags. So there's that one. She's obviously lost her shoes as well. It looks like she might, yeah, it looks like she's sort of walked through a pool of blood. It's got a bit of blood on her foot. So that's that one, the shopping zombie. And next up, let's go for the ball gown zombie. So here we have again a fairly fresh zombie. I'm not exactly sure what she's carrying there. Maybe a piece of bone. And you can see that she's got her sort of evening gown on. And it looks like she's also, she's kind of got like a, as if like her eyes and nose have bled from like infection, and she's got some like bruising around her chest, but her actual wound is actually at the top of her thigh there. You can see it there. So that's the evening gown zombie. Next up we have I guess this guy's sort of like more or less a sort of normal civilian. He's basically about as rotten as you could get. He's got hardly any arms left. His torso's started to rot. He's also lost one whole leg of his trousers, and again his leg is decomposing and sort of very thin. Again, I kind of decided to just sort of like, because this guy would have been, you know, obviously he's been sort of Walking Dead for quite a long time, so I kind of made it look as if the blood on him is still kind of sort of sticky looking around the actual sort of limbs, but where it's on the clothes and stuff, it kind of looks a lot drier. So that's him. Here we go with a couple of more female zombies. So we have the fitness zombie, who's wearing like running gear, and she is fairly rotten, like several days rotten. She's got a nasty bite wound on her arm there, or leg, sorry. She's also, looks like she's lost her foot as well. So perhaps she got bitten turned and ran into the road and got her leg run over by a car or something. And then we have the lifeguard zombie, who is obviously, I've done her up to look like the Baywatch zombie, but she also has, trying to find her wound actually, looks like she's got a wound on her head or her face, and also a bite at the back of the leg there. So you can see the blood sort of run down the back of her leg, and also where her sort of face started bleeding. It's kind of run down and sort of stained her swimsuit. So that's her. We're getting towards the end of these guys now. You've literally got 6 left, and the three of them. In fact, actually, no, they're not quite all women, but we have 3 zombie women left that are standing. So we have, these are all pretty generic. So we have like a sort of a bog standard civilian female zombie. Looks like this one is fairly fresh, probably turned within a few days, and you can't really see where this one was bitten, apart from the fact that she is missing some fingers off her hand there. So perhaps she got bitten there, and perhaps she got shot. So she's got a little bit of sort of torso blood. This one, next one is a little bit more rotten. So you can see she's lost the leg of her jeans. She's got a nasty wound on her leg there, and it looks like she might have a little wound on her shoulder. So again, I've put some sort of some little bit of blood there, and a little bit of blood-stained clothing, and I've made her hand red as if she was either trying to stop the bleeding of her own wound, or perhaps she's tried to grab hold of somebody and sort of bite them. Next, we have a semi-fresh female zombie here. Got a bite on the leg. And apart from the blood that would have run down her leg, she's practically got no other blood apart from some blood splatters, and she has got a little cut on her head there. So again, she's got a little bit of blood that's run down the front of her face from that wound. So it looks like a scratch wound. Now the last 3 zombies can be classed as more or less torso zombies, because there's not much of them. So here we have one that's literally got no hands and not much of her legs left, and she's pretty rotten. She's got a nasty wound to the top of the head there. You can almost see the skull, and she's kind of had the back part of her sort of top ripped away, so perhaps she got maybe she got hit by a truck or something. And then we have the roadkill zombie here, which is, he's almost, all his flesh is almost rotted away. He has hardly got any flesh on his face left at all. And he's also got some tyre tracks across his back there, which is quite cool. And I kind of smeared the blood as if the whatever run him over kind of actually made him stick to the ground, so he's actually having trouble trying to move himself. And then the very last zombie is there's not much of this one left at all. It's literally just a torso with one arm. And I've kind of made her look as if she's kind of on the sort of the side of the road. Yeah, there's not much left of her at all. So that is the Wargames Foundry zombies for my Walking Dead, or Walking Dead All Out War game. My extra zombies, you could call them, because obviously I use the ones that came with the actual game. I tend to use those ones first, and these ones kind of come in at will. So next up, I suppose I could show you, maybe I'll cut this into two parts. I know it's only been, what, it's 20 minutes, so maybe I'll just show you. This is like the set that was kind of designed to be solo played. So it came with like the guy that becomes the governor. I don't know how much you guys know about the sort of Walking Dead story, but the governor is basically this guy called Brian Blake, and this is how he was before he became the actual character, the governor. If you read the comics, you know that this guy is pretty much a complete and utter psycho. But you can see that I kind of went for, I wanted to base these guys semi up to date, so I've tried to give their clothing, you know, like this guy's obviously dressed sort of semi tactically, so he's got like his hunting vest, and he's got like OD trousers and army boots. So that's the Brian Blake figure. Pretty cool figure. I'm not a massive fan of the actual governor character myself, but this set I managed to pick up really cheap, so it was a good way of getting like an extra set of dice, an extra bunch of zombies, and of course the Brian Blake figure. So let's bring up, so these are, I might as well just bring them all into shot. These are the zombies that came in that set. And so let's just start with this one. She's kind of wearing a poncho, I think, or part of a poncho. Again, these are all kind of pretty generic zombies, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time focusing on them really. Here we have sort of a business zombie, just kind of wearing a pair of goggles or glasses. She's got like a you know, like a business suit on. Kind of cool. She's got some nasty cuts on the backs of her legs there. Looks like the bone is jutting out of that one. Pretty nasty. Here we have a sort of a generic civilian in jeans and a shirt. She's got various wounds. And then we have another female zombie. This one's missing the bottom part of her jaw. And finally we have what I call a feeder zombie, who's fairly rotten, and he's feasting on someone's intestines by the looks of it. And he's quite rotten away. You can kind of see his ribs, not ribs, yeah, his ribs and his spine. And although his trousers have kind of stayed semi-intact, though I've made them like really filthy. Okay, that's the end of this part one. I will be back soon with part two, and in that I will cover the zombies and figures that came in the starter set, and then the very first expansion, and then a couple of characters that I brought in like single packs. And that'll, I suppose I can also show you the scenery that I've painted that came in the scenery set. like barricades and some abandoned cars. So until the next video, I'll catch you later.